Hey cool people, I'm Nick, I'm a he, him, respect trans and non-binary people, and welcome to Item Hunt, a show where me explaining the premise is like me explaining math to your dog. You'd look at me and you'd say, get out of my house. Today, we're playing Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, and we're going to be collecting every chest, puzzle piece, map, and reward in Olympus Coliseum. And hey, if you end up enjoying, consider subscribing and casting Sonic Blade on that bell icon so you can get notified when I post new videos. Now let's get this going so we can get up on the Hydra's back. Get up on the Hydra's, get up on the Hydra's, get up on the Hydra's back. After landing in the Coliseum, we noticed that it's a little drearier than last time. After we help up Meg, we can... Hey, how's it going? Future Nick, brief interruption. I got an AP boost from completing the Awakening puzzle. Doesn't really have anything to do with Olympus Coliseum, but this is when I did it, so there you go. Alright, bye. After we help up Meg, we can head into the Cave of the Dead entrance, where there's a heart puzzle piece on the left side of the room. Then we'll run into the Cave of the Dead passage and go forward, then left at the fork, to get this mithril shard chest that's sitting up here. Then we'll head deeper left, where there's an ether
Okay.
As we go down the passage, we'll see an AP boost chest sitting on the left wall. Then as we go down the steps, we can make a right around the corner and get to the other chest that's sitting on the right wall, which has a high potion inside. Now, you might notice a puzzle piece that's Spider-Manning it on the ceiling, but like every other video where there's an obnoxiously placed puzzle piece, looking at you, Land of Dragons, we're going to reluctantly return for restitution to predominantly prioritize this puzzle piece. But for now, let's slide down this sinking slope. Okay, I promise I'm done, I promise. Anyway, by the exit, there's a mithril stone chest that's sitting by itself. Then we'll go inside the...
It's time to stop!
After the cutscene, we'll spawn in the Cave of the Dead inner chamber, where there's a few chests lying around. There's a big one on our right that houses our first underworld map. Then if we turn directly around and go to the north edge of the room, there will be a mithril shard chest that's sitting in front of some sort of gate-looking rock formation. There's also the absent silhouette of Zexy in here, but we can't access it quite yet. Instead, we'll head on to the Valley of the Dead, where we'll just keep making our way right up to Hades' chamber. And then we can do one of these dumb can't do damage fights, but it'll end pretty quick, and then we'll have to get the hell out of here. Some tips for this section. Orange Limit Bushido is pretty helpful, and it also helps to stay at a slightly higher or slightly lower elevation than Hades, so the fireballs he chucks at you just completely miss. If you can't be on a different elevation, then pay attention to Hades so you can guard or dodge the fireballs instead. We don't get anything for completing this. Well, I guess we get to keep our lives, but is that really a reward? Millennials unanimously say no, or at 11. Now, from the Cave of the Dead, we can make our way back through the passage and up to the entrance, where we'll have to fight Cerberus alongside Auron. So for this fight, Auron's Limit is again pretty useful, but also, when Cerberus inevitably jumps and slams onto the ground, it's helpful to be in the air or far away from that pernicious pooch. Also, I don't do this, but it'll probably help. During the part where Cerberus spits out dark balls, it might be better to just attack from the side or just stand way away from him so the balls can't reach you. Or try guarding them. Could work. For completing the fight, Sora gets the counter guard ability and Auron gets an HP boost. Now feel free to leave a like if you're enjoying the video so far, or if it's helped you out. I'd appreciate it so much. After the Cerberus fight, we'll appear back in the underworld entrance and we can make our way up the shiny stairs and enter the Coliseum gates. As we approach the foyer, a cutscene will play, and then we'll get another map. Then we can head into the arena, which is just called the Coliseum. Not confusing at all. Now we can talk to Phil and do some training practice. We don't get anything for doing it, but then we can talk to Phil again and do Maniac mode, where basically you want to focus on breaking the small pots, and then when a big one shows up, knock it into as many small ones as possible. I get a bit more in depth with this in the missions and minigames section of the video, but for now, when we complete it, Sora will get the aerial dive ability. So now Hercules shows up, and after we talk to her, we'll spawn in the foyer. Then we can go to the gates and back into the underworld, where Phil will be laying down, assumedly because he just wants to be pure. After the cutscene, there's a big power boost chest sitting on the left. And then we can continue on to the Underworld Caverns entrance. Once inside, we can leap forward to grab the heart puzzle piece that's floating above the mist. Then after laying the smackdown on the Heartless, we can jump onto this ledge and grab the Mithril Shard chest. Then we can head onwards to the Lost Road. There's a Dark Road joke in there somewhere, I just know it. Now, technically, we can't reach the 2 puzzle pieces that are sitting up on these structures, but while we fight the Ghost Fellers, we can either combo our way up or get slapped up there. However, Donald screws me out of getting it for now, stupid ass duck, so we'll just have to settle for the chest that's on the right, like on the right if you're facing away from the door we came in at. Now, we can head leftwards around the weird puzzle structure and take the second left, where there's a chest at the end of the hall. It has a bright shard in it. Now, if we go right again to the other puzzle piece structure, we can try again to reach it, but instead, there's a chest sitting on the left of the structure that we can get as a consolation prize. Hooray! Now we can enter the upper area of the entrance, where there's 2 chests sitting on this ledge. The left chest has an AP boost, and the right chest has a Lucid Shard. Now we can try to leap for the puzzle piece that's floating behind this pillar, but without Valor Form or an improved high jump, this is another one we just can't reach at the moment. Instead, we can go back into the Lost Road, and we'll skip the left path this time, and at the fork we'll take the right one instead. This will lead us to a duality puzzle piece, and we can scoop up a Mithril Shard from this chest that's sitting right next to it. Now we can sprint on ahead and go right into the atrium, which you could say is a piece of my heart. In here, there's a Lucid Stone chest straight ahead. Then a heart puzzle piece just under the slope. Now let's go up the slope, and just before entering the threshold, we'll leap across the small chasm to the AP boost chest. Now we'll go back through the threshold and spend a little quality time with Demix. Thankfully, this is just an easy form battle, not like that other time.
Dance, water, dance.
So this will be comparatively easy. We just need to use triangle prompts and maybe some fire casts to beat the water clones. For getting wet and wild with Demix, Sora and Goofy will receive an HP boost, while Donald collects the MP Rage ability. Then we'll collect the Olympus Stone and Secret Ansem's Report 5. Now we can move on to the lock. In this room, there's 3 chests and a puzzle piece. First, we'll grab the AP boost chest on the left, then a duality piece in the back, then a big chest with a cavern map inside. And lastly, Goofy, move. God damn it, Goofy, a bing bong. So, before I open up the lock, I like to use this time to level up Valor Form. I run out, whackety smack some enemies, then come back into the lock before Valor Form runs out, where I'll revert back to normal Sora with full drive gauge, because, fun fact, if Sora returns to a room where he technically has no party members, like in this room, he will get max drive gauge. Pretty neat, huh? That being said, I take a little time to get Valor to level 3, and once I'm there, I head back to the Lost Road, where I just barely make this jump via bonking that floating Heartless. This one is a daylight piece, and it's above the southeastern structure. So real fast, let's go back to the entrance with our level 3 Valor Form and leap up to get this daylight puzzle piece that's hidden behind the pillar. Now we can hustle back to the Lost Road, to the Atrium, and then the As you can see, I don't quite make it, but that's okay, because drive recoveries exist. Now I head back to the Lost Road one final time, because I'm very determined to get the Northwestern Structures puzzle piece. And unfortunately, I defeated the enemies already, but fortunately, there are souls I can use to get up there. By angling it just right and smacking just the right soul, we can triumphantly reach the top of the structure and acquire the daylight puzzle piece. Victory Screech! Anyway, let's head back to the atrium, then the lock, open the lock, then leap into the hole to have a little tussle with Pete. For the first phase, we have to keep Meg safe, and the way I like to do it is to summon Chicken Little, who absolutely loves to cast Magnet on the enemies. That beautiful whistle, little Yondu poultry ass. He keeps Meg safe, so I think the first phase is dependent on defeating the Heartless Waves, not on defeating Pete, cause... yeah, so maybe don't bother with him, just keep slaying Heartless. When phase 1 does end, we'll enter phase 2, which is timed and we swap Meg for God Mode Hercules, and it's not a very hard fight. Guard Pete's rolling bombs, that'll make him roll back at him, and then use Hercules to destroy Pete's shield. Yeah, that's pretty much it. When the fight ends, Sora will receive the Trinity Limit ability, Donald will collect an HP boost, and Goofy will grab the Hyper Healing ability. But wait, we're not done yet. Time for the final fight on our first visit. The Hydra. Spooky. When we spawn back in the underworld entrance, we can bolt up the stairs to the Coliseum gates where... whoops, wrong game. There we go. So this fight is also separated into phases. Phase 1 has just one Hydra head, and also a tail slap that we can leap over, or get hit by it, whatever. Then when the Hydra lowers its head, we can smack it around, and eventually we'll get the Vanquish prompt. And this moves us to Phase 2. In Phase 2, we'll have 3 heads that are bursting from under the ground, and we'll need to... yes, thank you, Phil. So, we can... or... Phil, we get it. When we do get on the Hydra's back, we can finally get Phil to shut up by using his reaction command, which will stun the 3 heads. Now, you don't need to do that. You can just hit them, but, Get up on the Hydra's back. Now, once each head's health reaches 0, you can vanquish those heads. Do it enough times, and Phase 3 will begin. Real fast, quick fun fact if the Hydra is really hurting you. Waiting in the wings, probably for the whole fight, is Meg, who will give Sora HP, MP, and Drive Gauge orbs when he approaches her. She'll switch between the far right and far left sides of the room. So when the third phase begins, you'll know, because the fight basically plays out like Phase 1, except there's a ton of heads. Your best time to attack is when the Hydra lowers a head. Oh, when it starts attacking rapidly, you can use Pegasus's reaction command to slash it all up. But keep in mind though, you do need to use a combo finisher, not the Pegasus reaction command, to actually defeat the Hydra. So once it's down to its 1 HP, we do our combo finisher, and then things just get real French. Real French. Once all its heads are sufficiently severed, Sora and Goofy will receive an HP boost, and Sora will get the Thunder element. Lastly, Donald will gain an armor slot, and then we get the hero's Crest Keyblade. Woo! Let's move on. Hey, by the way, leave a like if the video's helped you out so far. I'd super appreciate it, and it'd help me out with that dang old YouTube algorithm. So after completing Timeless River, we can go back to the Olympus Coliseum, to the Chamber of the Dead, because we got skateboards now, and that means we can finally play Sora Hawk Pro Skater 2. And yeah, also the puzzle piece in the Cave of the Dead passage can be collected. Ride your way up to this upper portion, jump off, and spam the 360 spin to reach the Daylight puzzle piece. Then we'll head back to the Underworld entrance to do the Pain and Panic Cup. This is a pretty easy cup where limits cost less MP. We need a score of 2,000 points to fully complete it in Jiminy's Journal. The Trinity Limit ability is useful for the regular trash enemies here, and the Tornado Fusion ability that Goofy has, if you have it, is so good for the 10th match, which is a fight against Yuffie and Leon. And yeah, so for triumphing over them, we receive the Protect Belt Armor and a Serenity Gem. After we complete Port Royal, the Cerberus Cup becomes available. This cup allows Sora to use Drive Forms without his teammates. And it's best done later on when you have access to Master Form or, even better, Final Form. But it is technically doable now, so now's when we'll talk about it. Bear in mind, it is also timed, which really screwed me up initially. So, to completely complete it in Jiminy's Journal, we need to get a score of 1,000. But regardless of score, when we perilously pounce on that precocious pup, we will receive the Rising Dragon Staff for Donald and a Serenity Crystal. Though again, disclaimer, I do recommend doing this one during the second visit after you have Master Form, which, ironically enough. So once we land back in the underworld, it'll be time for the Hades Cup. Talk to the pink demon to start it. You'll know it's the correct one because they'll take out their d20s and the role-playing will start. Herc, please take a long rest. You're clearly not fully healed from last session. Then we'll fight some Heartless, beat him up, and then we repeat. Pink demon, cutscene, fight, win. However, after we do it twice, we'll need to make our way to Hades' chamber for the orange statue. So let's head to the Cave of Dead entrance, and then there will be a cutscene. And after that, we'll continue onwards towards the passage. Just kidding. Jokes. I got the jokes. We go talk to Orin by the boat instead, and then we go through one more cutscene. And now we can do the thing I said. So first, we go to the Cave of the Dead entrance, then Cave of the Dead passage, then Cave of the Dead inner chamber, and, since we're here, we can activate the Absent Silhouette, where we can fight Zexion, better known as the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. Now, I go over this fight a bit more in my Hollow Bastion item hunt. However, here's some helpful tips. Using forms other than Limit is not helpful against Zexion, as it'll make it much easier for him to suck Sora into his copy of Umbrella Academy. When Sora is trapped in there, the book with the red aura is the one to attack, and eventually use the Dispel command on, which will release him from, inside the book. If we get our menus messed with, we shouldn't spam through, but instead look for words that are synonyms with unlock, or freedom, or release. And last tip, during the pick the correct of the 3 circles portion, we kind of just stand on one and hope, because it's random. And we have a 66% chance to be wrong anyway. So while the circle is being picked, we can heal with a potion, assuming our health is low, and if we don't get in the right circle, we can reflect the meteor barrage to stay safe, or if we get hit, we can just cure when it's done. After we defeat Gerard Way, we'll receive an item slot for Sora, an HP boost for Donald, and the damage control ability for Goofy, as well as the Book of Shadows synthesis recipe and a Lost Illusion. Bear in mind, if you're struggling with this fight, you can always come back later. It doesn't need to be completed now. Anyway, we can head into the Valley of the Dead and ride the skateboard up to Hades' chamber, where we'll have a nobody fight in order to get the orange statue. Then we'll spawn back in the underworld entrance, much appreciated game devs, and then when we talk to the pink demon, plot stuff will happen. Orin will rejoin our team, and then we get to fight.
Name is Hades, Lord of the Dead. Hi, how you doing?
But it's a fake out fight until Hercules, honey you mean Huncules, shows up. And now we can use Aura Sphere to knock Hades out of his Spartan Rage mode. Also, Goofy's Limit Tornado Fusion, you remember, really obliterates Hades' health. Results may vary. Do not use Tornado Fusion if nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Tornado Fusion is not safe for people who... For our victory, we acquire an HP boost for Sora, Goofy, and Orin, the Magnet Burst ability for Sora, an accessory slot for Donald, and lastly, the Guardian Soul Keyblade. But we're not quite done yet, because after we complete the second visit of the Olympus Coliseum, a new episode is added, and it's... Hey, by the way, I have a Patreon. Consider supporting me there for as little as $3 a month if you like this kind of content. Link in the description. So if you just want to complete the Titan Cup, we can use Chicken Little, aka Yondu Jr., who will whistle to cast Maggin on the enemies, allowing us to pummel them, while also using Valorform Genie on the final match against Hercules. That's probably the easiest way to do it, and for completing it, we'll collect the Genji Shield for Goofy and his Skillful Ring accessory. Hades, you bitch, where's the Titan? There's no Titan here. So, Stitch spamming is how we get the necessary high score of 5,000 points, where basically you summon Stitch, you use his Ohana limit, and then spam his ukulele repeatedly on every fight. Alright, there's a bit more to it than that, but this will suffice for now. And I'll explain it in a bit more detail in the missions and minigames section.
Speaking of which...
Here we are, almost done. Let's start this section with a quick disclaimer. It's best to come back to do all this crap at level 99 with maxed out forms and summons, which you'll need to be at because we're doing all of the Paradox Cups in this section too, So might as well save the other tournament requirements for level 99, where it'll just be stupid easy. Work smarter, not harder, you know what I mean? I will have a level up guide video posted eventually for Sora and his forms and summons, but not yet, unless it's the future. Hi people from the future! Anyhow, now that that's out of the way, let's do Phil's training. We do need to do a try practice mode for Jiminy's Journal, so just enter it if you haven't already, hit some stuff, then quit out. Now let's do Maniac mode, which truth be I always thought was Manic mode. And we need to get 1,000 points for Jiminy's Journal, but before we talk to Phil, I turn Explosion and Negative Combo abilities on, and also, let's remove the Air Combo finisher. I didn't do it, but you should, so that Sora does one big air slap with the Keyblade. Also, I don't know if it's necessary, but the Jackpot ability might be useful here. Here's how to get the 1,000 points on Sonic Mania mode. Break as many of the small pots as you can, and then as soon as the big ones show up, get behind it so that it's in between you and the small pots, and then whack the big pot into as many small ones as you can, and that is what will give you a ton of points, as shown on screen. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go back to the Underworld, and then we'll go left into the Underworld Caverns entrance, then into the Lost Road, and then we go to the southeast exit on the mini-map. Southeast? I thought you said southwest. That exit is the way to the atrium, where we'll find mushroom number 6, standing on the upper platform where we fought Damix earlier. So we need to complete the fight in under 45 seconds for Jiminy's Journal, and I'll real quick show you how. Okay, mushroom 6. So basically, you want to use Final Form, some Ethers, and Thundaga. I also used Fenrir for its negative combo, and if you still need to get the Keyblade, peep the description for the Hollow Bastion item hunt where I go over how to beat Sephiroth. I also equipped the Finishing Plus ability and the Negative Combo ability, so my combo is basically only 2 finishers. I equipped Oathkeeper for the form boost, but I think it'd probably be more beneficial to equip a high MP Keyblade instead, especially since you'll likely have at least 2 form boost abilities by this point. Lastly, set up your customization so that you have Thundaga and the Ethers in your L1 menu. I didn't do that because Tim, my last brain cell, only thought of it now. Great work, Tim. Now go into the atrium, walk up to the mushroom, change into Final Form, and then start the fight. Attack once. Then, start casting Thundaga when the mushroom clones show up. Keep a close eye on that L1 menu. When Thundaga turns yellow, that's when you need to use an Ether. Because if you use an Ether when you still have some magic, that Ether will give you back all your magic. As opposed to if you run out of magic, you'll need to use 2 Ethers to get it all back. Now it might take a few tries, and that's okay. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
You're trash, bro.
Keep in mind though, that the clones always spawn in the same spots and in the same order. Also, here's the mushroom rewards. Those mushrooms can be a real pain. Feel free to tell me in the comments if that was helpful so I know to keep including them. Or while you're down there, feel free to ask me any questions you have about the mushrooms or anything else related to the items. I look forward to chatting. Also, I'm smiling but you can't see it. Oh wait. Anyway, let's head back into the Underworld entrance and do the Goddess of Fate Cup. This is also a good time to get the 2,000 points in the Pain and Panic Cup, the 1,000 in the Cerberus Cup, and the 5,000 in the Titan Cup if you haven't already. So for the Goddess of Fate Cup, you will need to get 3,000 points in Jiminy's Journal, and the best way to do that is to Stitch Spam, where, like I said before, summon Stitch, use Ohana, and then spam the ukulele for the most points. But that's only part of the strategy. The other part is, if Sora's health is low, Stitch will spam ukulele on his own, which nets us a ton of points, but does slowly heal Sora, so that strategy is more of a... But for the Goddess of Fate, just summon Stitch every chance you have, use the Ohana limit, and then spam ukulele. I did it on matches 1, 3, 7, and 9, and managed to just barely pass the 3,000 points. I am going to link in the description the video that showed me about the Stitch spamming too. And when we finished the cup, we received the Fatal Crest Keyblade and an Orichalcum Plus. Now let's make our way to Hades for the Paradox Cups. When we reach Hades, you'll see the Paradox Cups of Pain and Panic, Cerberus, and Titan, which are set up the same as their non-Paradox counterparts. For the Pain and Panic Paradox Cups, Trinity Limit is basically the only limit I use, though Tornado Fusion is good against Leon and Yuffie on the 10th match, as said before. I had 3,573 points by the end of the 9th match, and it's worth knowing, getting a higher combo, as in quick succession kills, does give you higher point amounts, and that's true for every tournament. For the Cerberus Paradox Cup, final form is really busted here. Based, as the millennials say. Quick kills is the best way to get the 1,300 necessary points for Jiminy's Journal. Now, the Titan Paradox Cup is where it gets real rough. The Stitch spam is essential for completing this one in Jiminy's Journal, because you need 10,000 points. And so what we do is, beat the first match just normal, then we get our butt kicked till our health is blinking in the second match. Then summon Stitch, and he'll just automatically start playing ukulele, netting us a ton of points. Now, we are slowly getting healed, so once Stitch gets to his last summon gauge bar, or we're above 25% health, use the Ohana limit and spam ukulele. Then when Stitch disappears, get hit a few more times so that you're back below the 25%, resummon Stitch, repeat. I was at 4,212 points by the end of the second match, and we just have to keep doing it until we reach the required 10,000 points. Then use Peter Pan to obliterate the remaining matches, and then, like before, Valor Form Genie is best for fisting Hercules. I came out wrong. Alright, great job! I take this time to run back and save, and hey, you can use it to like the video if it's been helpful for you. I definitely appreciate that a lot. But now it's time for the final tournament, the Hades Paradox Cup. So this cup mixes all the previous cups' rules together, and here's what to do. First, just go through matches 1 through 11, then quit out. Now, after quitting, it's imperative to equip all Form Boost, Drive Boost, Summon Boost, Jackpot, as well as Trinity Limit on Sora and Fusion Tornado on Goofy, because we won't be able to quit once we get going.
There's no turning back.
Restart at match 11, use Peter Pan summons on matches 12, 13, and 14, then at the Ice Heartless boss on match 15, we use Valor Form Genie to dwindle its health. When it's on its last bar, we just let it wallop us until we're below the 25% health. Then, we beat it. On the next match, we immediately summon Stitch and use Stitch Spam, and we do what we did earlier, and we do it on every match until we have the 1,500 points, which, funnily enough, I only needed to do till match 17. It is that busted, yeah. Now, be sure once you have your points not to quit out, because you do not keep your points once you leave the tournament, whether through choice or otherwise. So, once I have the 1,500, I use Peter Pan until match 20 to finish the enemies off quickly, and then Valor Form Genie to purposefully punt a pretty pathetic Pete. I really like alliteration today, I don't know what's up. Matches 21 through 30 are Pain and Panic rules, so Trinity Limit the crap out of everything and Fusion Tornado any bosses that show up. Matches 31 through 40 are Cerberus Cup rules, so Final Form is overpowered here. Of course, be sure that you finish the 40th match as normal Sora with full drive gauge, because the last 10 matches are alone, just Sora, with regular normal game rules, meaning no summons, and no forms that require party members, because, surprise, they ain't here. Limits cost all our MP, and the drive gauge recovers at a normal pace, assuming we use limit form. So, the enemies on these last 10 matches hit like a truck, and the best way to get this done is to play it safe. Use Reflected Magnet to defeat the enemies, and if you run out of magic, use Ethers and Elixirs. Or just fly away and just wait for your magic to return. Magic is too useful a resource to be fighting without it. And only use limit form as a last resort, like you're out of magic, going to die, can't use an item type of situation. Now most of these fights are too incredibly difficult, except the semi-final match, where you've got to fight Cloud, Leon, Yuffie, and Tifa all at once. Make sure you have a full drive gauge for this fight, or as close as you can, because you may need limit form to save you. The strategy here, though, is reflect spam, just as much as you can. If you're going to die and you have no magic, limit form. Honestly, this is the hardest fight in the whole tournament.
If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Some quick limit form tips in case you don't know. From the L1 menu, my preference is Sonic Blade, but any hit you land from any of those attacks will heal Sora, and when Limit Sora takes damage, it will replenish his magic, so you can kind of like loop that. Finding a good balance around that though is like super useful. But you can also just change into limit form so you don't die and then immediately revert if you prefer to just be normal Sora and use Reflect. Now, should the worst happen and you have to restart, see if you can restart from round 15, the Ice Boss Heartless, because then at least you can cut out 30%-ish of the tournament. Just don't do this, please. So, for our eventual victory, we will receive the Hades Cup trophy. If this is your first time getting it, then congrats. Or even if it's like a subsequent time acquiring it, still congrats. It's a huge pain in the ass to get, and god damn it, you earned it. So remember, subscribing and hitting the bell helps me out a lot. I'd greatly appreciate it if you did it. And now it's time for the memes of affirmation and then the item list. Goodbye! For completing the fight, Sora gets the Counter Guard ability, and Auron gets an HP boost. Thank you, Stomach. You can use the Pegasus Reaction command. Pegasus Erection command, Jesus. But regardless of score, when we perilously. So, once we land back in the underworld, it'll be, what the fuck? However, after I'm trying to breathe. Hercules, honey, you mean Huncules. Shows up. Fusion Tornado, any bosses that show up. Thank you, Stomach. Hey, by the way, I can't talk. Can't talk today. There's no talking today. Hey, by the way, I have a Patreon. Consider supporting me there for $3, or as little as $3. You can't beat $3. That's like a third of a gym membership. It's less than a third of a gym membership at Planet Fitness. You know, if you like this kind of content, link is in the description. What was that?